to fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chiming, jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air.
Nagasat nga bigat ka probinsyaan, datay man iti programa tayo, Silnag Ti Pagtaengan. So, kamusta iti aldaw tayo itata? It's a blessed day in the morning, kumbaga. So, hello, kamusta ang ating month ngayon? So, datay man iti programa Silnag Ti Pagtaengan, another topic and another quote of the day, kumbaga another segment manen para iti programa tayo. So kadua tayo ti technical side tayo ni Miss Cara Molina and it's me your kapid Ramanuel. So datay ti programa sila nagtipagtaingan. So dito nga programa kita open, kumbaga hanga komentaryo, mabaling komentaryo or mabaling tayo nga interview doctors, mothers, sisters, any kind nga mabaling tayo to i-explore. So as of now, at the moment, madama pa ti sale. So nga masapol tayo nga topic pa lang iti cellphone tayo. Deal namisan nga daw naipabuya tayo ni Sir Erickson para iti interview na and mutay meten iti oneg iti session ado iti naipasadan ado meten iti naaramid da para iti pagsiatan iti probinsya tayo nga Ilocos Sur. So topic natin ngayon is the Feast of the Immaculate Conception. So deto iti panag-celebrate tayo into nubigat para kanya na pananglagip iti aldaw na kunada kastakit Blessed Virgin Mary kunada kasta kanya na. So intay lagi pen into nubigat ken ni Feast the Immaculate Conception. So the solemnity of the Immaculate Conception also called the Immaculate Conception Day. Celebrate the sinless lifespan and perfected Immaculate Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary on December 8, 9 months before the Feast of the Nativity of Mary. So celebrated on September 8. It is one of the most important Marian feasts in the liturgical calendar of the Roman Catholic Church. Celebrated whole or worldwide. So, ibig sabihin, December 8, isa-celebrate tayo iti Immaculate Conception or the Blessed Virgin Mary nationwide or worldwide kunakuma. So, dito iket calendar iti liturgical calendar. So, sabali pa iti month of September 8. Diba, pagkatay man nga kasi na birthday Mama Mary ko na tayo iti month iti September 8 ngem dato iket celebrate tayo iti Nativity of Mary. Ngem ito no bigat i-celebrate tayo iti Immaculate Conception or the Blessed Virgin Mary. So tawagan tayo iso na iti Solemnity of the Immaculate Conception when Immaculate Conception Day. So ito iket from the Roman Catholic. So, madlaw tayo digiti red calendar. Ay, hindi siya red calendars. Ay, man, red calendars. Digiti special holiday tayo da dumakit. Ganan, digiti special holiday tayo da dumakit. Tawag dito, more on religious. Diba, malagipyo or, diba, ti religious tata, or ito no bigat, i-celebrate tayo is from Roman Catholic. Isa-celebrate tayo met iti, digiti Muslim, digiti pa nag-feast da. So, mangrugi iti Ramadan, so celebrate tayo dayjay, awan pasok pa dayjay. Kas pa nagrespeto kadagiti Muslim, same as damit ten detoy, blessed or panaglagip met kani Virgin Mama Mary into no bigat. So nga masapol tayo nga madlaw yung dagiti holiday ket hala nga pang national heroes, hala nga Christmas, no ket di adapay iti religions, di ba? Okay, significance na the most pure and sinless conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary without the original sin. Celebration, the festive pageantry, grand fireworks, cultural dancing, religious and military procession, food, and costume. So, paano natin sineselebrate nito? So, daduma, agkaroon da iti procession, or di kaya is, agdaganan agrand da iti fireworks, and daduma pa nga cultural dancing, iti ipasango da. Or di kaya celebrate da with the true foods. And of course, costume. So, of course, observance tayo is the Mass and other liturgical celebration. So, daduma mapantay makimisa into no bigat, mapantay makimisa o dagiti muslibo brain tayo, di ba? Agpa mapana agwalog kararag, dagiti ubobrain tayo. So, and of course, deta iti panag-celebrate tayo iti Immaculate into no bigat. So history na, the Eastern Christian Church first celebrated the feast of the conception of the most holy and the all pure Mother of God on December 9, perhaps as early as the 5th century in Syria. The original title of the feast focused most especially on the Saint Anna. Ti dati kanong anagan na Saint Anna. Ngayon itatan, so we call this Immaculate Conception. And that we get nang rugi idi December 9 ijay Syria 5th century nabayagin manong sentimo manong century iti napalabasen. So 5th century ijay Syria ngem ti dati kano iti pagbagada Saint Anne. So being termed the Selepsip Tessa or the conception of Saint Anne, the ancestor of God. By the 7th century, the feast was already widely and known in the East. However, when the Eastern Church called Mary or the Anchators, this was not defined doctrine. So, ibig sabihin, the 5th century, ijay Syria, is December 9 they celebrate that yan. And they're called it Saint Anne. So, another 7th century nga napalabasen is intultuloy dalata nga isa-celebrate datoy nga aldaw. And ito'y 7th century ay ito'y is iti nagsabunggaan na ibig sabihin na kalat yan ti is. So, in the 7th century, continuous latang isa-celebrate da datoy. And ito'y Eastern Church, dito'y mismo iti is no dati Syria, dito'y is na inawag da iso na iti Mary. When do Antrantos nga tawag na dito. So it's defined not defined the doctrine. Ibig sabihin, so the majority of Orthodox Christian do not accept the scholar's of definition of Mary's preservation from original sin before her birth as subsequently defined in the Western Church after the Great Screamings of 1054. So, idi kanumat na palabas nga tawin, idi Great Screamings of 1054. Mamatida nga ni Virgin Mary ket is naganan sunaket not a sinless, or ibig sabihin awan iti basol na since birth dito'y western meten iti lupalupanan. So dito'y western meten. So after the feast was translated to the Western Church in the 8th century. So it began to be celebrated on December 8. It spread from the Byzantine area of southern Italy to Normandy during the period of Norman dominance over southern Italy. From there, it spread to England, France, Germany, and eventually from Rome. So, nalpasyan ti Western nga naamuandan nga celebrate iti Eastern iti Immaculate Conception. Ditameten in the 8th century, dito'y Western, nagdesisyon dameten nga December 8 metlaeng nga may celebrate met iti Immaculate Conception. So detoy ket naiwaras iso na yan ti Byzantine iti southern Italy, and then Normandy iti period iti Normand dominance over the southern Italy. So dita tinagrogrogyanan na nga December 8 dapat may celebrate iti the Immaculate Conception. Ngem itatan ngem idedeta nga panawenen from the southern Italy na iwaras iso na iti England, France, Germany, ken kastameten iti Rome. So dita parte pa lang iti Europe iti nagrogrogyanan na. Dita pa lang ti parte ti nagrogyanan na, so nga worldwide kumbaga nga sineselebrate natin to. So in 1568 Pope Louis V revised the Roman Breviary, and to the Franciscans were allowed to retain the office of Mass written by the Verdanin Vesvusti. So this office was suppressed for the rest of the church, and the office of Nativity of the Blessed Virgin was substituted instead, the word conception being substituted for the nativity. So, idi tawen 1568 ni Pope Louis the Fifth, iti Roman Breviary ket offer so na or nangarabid so na iti misa ken nagsurat iso na iti Vernadir Jevusti, or we call this nga nativity. And the word from nativity sino katanda iti conception. So from the word nativity is pinalitan dan ti conception. So according to the Papa Bull Commission Novus Divintus dated December 6, 1708, Pope Clement IX mandated the feast as a holiday of obligation, which is to celebrate in the future years by the faithful. Kani Pope Francis IX ket celebrate so na idi December 6, 1708 linagdaan ni Pope Clement IX iti holiday of obligation to celebrate in the near future or the future years tapno malaglagip tay lata ini Virgin Mama Mary or the Immaculate Conception. So furthermore, the Pontiff requests that the papal bull be notarized in the Holy See to be further copied and reproduced for dissemination. So prior to the Papa Pius IX definition of the Immaculate Conception as a Roman Catholic dogma in 1854. So most of Missal referred to it as the feast of the Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mama Mary or Virgin Mary. So the festal text of this period focus more on the action of her conception than on the theoretical question of her preservation from original sin. A missal published in England in 1806 indicate the same collect of the Feast of Nativity of the Blessed Virgin Mary was used for his feast as well. So the first move towards describe Mary's conception as the Immaculate came in the 11th century. In the 15th century, Pope Sixtus IV, while promoting the festival explicitly, tolerate both the views of those who promoted it was the Immaculate Conception and those who challenged such a description, a position later endorsed by the Council of Trent. So the proper of the Feast of Conception of the Blessed Virgin Mary in the medieval Solemn Missal merely addresses the fact of her conception. The collect of the feast reads, so wala na kasta, a God merciful, hear the supplication of thy servants who are assembled together in the conception of the Virgin Mother of God. May at her intercession be delivered by thy from danger which beset us. So that iti history, iti Immaculate Conception, why we celebrate on December 8 Api nga kinanayon tayo celebrate iti December 8 ni Immaculate Conception kapungaro din iti nagrugiso na from the Syria 5th century. Dati is we call this Feast of the Conception of the Most Holy and Pure, all pure Mother of God. Deta iti nakita ijay Syria 5th century. After 5th century, another 7th century ay nagabungamet dito'y Easter, nadamdamag da dito'y Easter nga dagay may celebrate iti kastoy di Syria. And then after the eastern part, napanmet dito'y western part, and ditada nga in declare nga December 8 iti panaglagip kini Virgin Mama Mary or Virgin Mary or the Immaculate Conception. So sakbay tayo ulit tagtuloy iti programa tayo Silnag Ti Pagtaengan. Syempre, dagiti mampay dagiti palagip.
Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives. Di kooperatiba ano bayagin nga sesarili kadang di Ilocano iti amyanan a Luzon. Di kooperatiba ang manpapaay ti serbisyo, benepisyo, ken mangisakit kariti empleyado ken miyembro na. Di Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives wano NSCC ket adon tinatulungan na. Babayan met iti namayat alangin-langin ken kooperasyon dagiti miyembro ken mangimatmaton. Adon tinagduroasan ti kooperatiba. Adupay dagiti naynayon ang kasdek akas ti NSCC Farm, Chicharon Processing Facility, Macro Laboratory, kastameten ti NSCC Plaza, ken NSCC Business Center. Isungan niya pelang ter orayem makikapengkan iti kadakilan a kooperatiba iti probinsya. Di Nueva Segovia Consortium of Cooperatives suman na NSCC. Imatmatunan na daytoy ni Dr. Divina Kenny.
No serbisyo analaka nga catering ti Masapulyo, adda iti Caril's Garden Catering Services ang masarakan di Mabini Street, Barangay Rizal, Kabugao, Ilocos Sur. Adu pa iti agkakaimas nga makan ti inkay pagpilyan. Ken saan lang kadayta, naornos ti serbisyo da, napintas iti set up da. Ken saan yon a problema no kasapulan nyo iti venue, acoustic, lights and sound, tadapay kanyadan. Oray anyaman nga okasyon ket mabaling nga rambakan, kas iti kasar, birthday, anniversary, reunions, meeting, ken dumapay. Caril's Garden and Catering Services, ti kapintasan ken kalakaan. Nadaras pa'y akasarita, ti akin bagi, ani Sir Carlito, ken Maricar Asena. When kontakin iti numero a 0917-799-1273. When 0917-799-5110. Caril's Garden and Catering Services. Umay kayon!
Problema yu kadi iti panangalat ti student driving permit, renewal iti lisensya ngagmaneho, ken panang-upgrade iti restriction code dagiti lisensyayo. Solbaren dagiti nga problema yu iti RX Driving School. Ti RX Driving School ket accredited iti LTO ng eskwelaan amang ipaay kadagiti sumaganad. TDC wenno theoretical driving course. Kasapulan daytoy kadagiti mangalat ti student permit. PDC wenno practical driving course paramat kadagiti mangala iti non-prop wenno professional driver's license. Upgrading iti restriction code paramat kadagiti mangnayon iti mabalinda a manehuen ken ti special driving course paramat kadagiti kayat na tagsursurong agmaneho iti motorsiklo, tricycle, four wheels, manual or automatic ken dumapay. Naanos ken nalaing dagiti driving instructors da nga accredited iti LTO. Dito'y 2nd District, masarakan ti RX Driving School iti National Highway, Barangay Tablak, Candon City, abay iti Sacred Heart Medical Laboratory. Dito'y mat 1st District, masarakan ti RX Driving School, abay mismo iti LTO. Dita poblasyon is San Ildefonso, Ilocos Sur. Ken dita probinsya ti Ilocos Norte, masarakan ti RX Driving School iti along the National Highway, Barangay Kalagip, Batak City, sango ti Lucondia Cultural Center ken Mariano Marcos Memorial Hospital. Asideg iti mismong LTO. No lisensya ti panagmaneho, ken nasayat a pagsusuruan ngagmaneho, RX Driving School iti papanan. Para tadadong informasyon, tumawag wenno ag-text kayo iti 0917-578-3132 and 0917-811-8 0917-309-0581. Duty 1st District San Ildefonso, 0917-306-3735. Itamot 2nd District, Candon City, 0917-120-1745. Ken Ditabatak City, 0917-329-0591. RX Driving School.
Rapaapo iti makay ayo abuya iti uleg iti pagtaingam. Anyaman nagasapulam kas ti moderno a klase iti silaw kada dita ti chandelier LED lights kenda dumapay. Kasabay kadagiti agkagapintas at toilet bowl, wall claddings, stainless sa lababo, kasamet na dumaduma ti klase na tiles kenda dumapay ang materyales agkasapulan ti pagbangon ti balay. Pasyaren ti AC Newborn Home and Builder Center. Nalawa ti showroom da, agkomportable kang agpili ti kayat mo a disenyo. Mabalin pa'y nga isuday ti magi-set up kadagiti katangin. Masarakan sa Rizal Street, Sulphur, Bantay, Ilocos Sur. Imatmatunan na Mr. and Mrs. Alain Chan. Saanen ngagtaktak mapankan sa JAC Newborn Home and Builders Center.
As the heritage province of the North reopens to tourists, it launches the all-new Tour Ilocos Sur app. A quick guide to Ilocos Sur at your fingertips. Find the best tourist spots. Hotels. Bars and restaurants. And authentic Ilocos Sur products and food. Be updated on upcoming events, plus get notified on the important announcements and updates. Available for global download on Android and iOS. The Tour Ilocos Sur app. Historical becomes digital.
Please allow me to present under the Committee on Rules and Amendments, a committee report. Subject, draft ordinance amending section 6 and 7 of Provincial Ordinance number 004-18 series of 2018 entitled An Ordinance Creating the Task Force Bantay Calzada of the Province of Ilocos Sur, the full implementation of traffic laws, rules, and regulations, Joint Administrative Order number 2014-01, series of 2014, and other provincial ordinances, rules, and regulations, and for other purposes thereof, as amended. For the findings, after a thorough review and discussion on the above-mentioned draft ordinance, the Committee on Rules unanimously approved to revise the proposed legislation to read as follows. Section 6, Roles and Responsibilities of the Committee on Enforcement. The Committee on Enforcement shall have the following roles and responsibilities. Letter M, to implement the provisions of Provincial Ordinance number 16-07A, series of 2016, an ordinance revising Provincial Ordinance number 1, series of 2004, otherwise known as the Provincial Environment Code of Ilocos Sur, particularly Section 36, D and E. Letter D, destruction of infrastructure due to overloaded hauling trucks transporting sand, gravel, boulder, and fill material which exceed the loading capacity of the infrastructure is punishable. Letter E, all open dump trucks transporting or hauling minerals shall make sure to provide the necessary protection and cover of the loaded minerals in order to avoid spills and or waste of minerals to prevent untoward incidents. Section 7, conduct of training. The designated leader of the task force Pantay Calzada, acting as transportation regulation officers, shall undergo seminars, training to be conducted by the LTO and other government agencies on the following subjects stated hereunder. Number 1, Republic Act number 7942, an act instituting a new system of mineral resources exploration, development, utilization, and conservation. Letter M, Provincial Ordinance number 16-07A, series of 2016, an ordinance revising Provincial Ordinance number 1, series of 2004, otherwise known as the Provincial Environment Code of Ilocos Sur. Recommendation, premises considered, the Committee on Rules and Amendments respectfully recommends for the adoption of this committee report and for the draft ordinance to be calendared for second reading on the next session. Mr. Chair.
There is a motion for the adoption of the committee report and for the inclusion of the said draft ordinance for second reading for the next session. Are there any second? Duly seconded. The committee report is hereby adopted and the said item is included for second reading in the next session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, may we clarify, is it for next session or today's session, Honorable Singson? Next? Okay, next session. Thank you. Next is the committee report on Committee on Finance and Appropriation. With only one item, may I call on Honorable Efren Rafanan, the Vice Chairman of this committee, to render the report.
Thank you. Mr. Presiding Chair, Mr. Chairman of the Committee on Finance, thank you for allowing to read the recommendation of the Honorable Chair. Committee on Finance and Appropriation Committee report. Endorsement number 2022-63 of Honorable Governor Jeremiah Simpson on the supplemental budget number 4 of the province of Ilocos Sur for fiscal year 2022, involving total appropriations in amount of 112,826,830 pesos and 50 centavos. Findings for review conducted by the committee, the above-mentioned request of Honorable Governor Jeremiah Simpson to approve supplemental budget number 4 for fiscal year 2022 is extremely necessary to be approved to operate the matters relevant to finance the operation of the provincial government. as indicated in the statement sourced out from various savings preparations. Recommendations. The committee hereby recommends for the adoption of this committee report and to be calendared during the second reading for today's session. I so move, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion for the adoption of the committee report and for the inclusion of the said supplemental budget for second reading in today's session. Are there any second? Duly seconded. The committee report is hereby adopted and the said item is calendared for second reading in today's session. Please continue, Honorable Rafanan.
Under the Committee on Agriculture and Fisheries, the letter of Edmar Carsula, Chairperson, Integrated Fisheries and Aquatic Resources Management Council, Ilocos, endorsing Resolution Number 2, Series of 2022, entitled "A Resolution Requesting the Sangguniang Palalawigan to appeal from Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation to include fish shelter or payaw for fishery insurance." Allow me now to read the recommendation, Mr. Presiding Officer. The recommendation, after proper studying the above request, the committee hereby recommends for the adoption of this committee report and further recommends for the passage of a resolution requesting, appealing to the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation to include fish shelter or payaw under fishery insurance to be included in the second reading into the decisions. I so move, Mr. Chairman.
There is a motion for the adoption of the committee report and the subject matter be calendared for second reading in today's session. Are there any second? Duly seconded. The committee report is hereby adopted and the letter of Mr. Edmar Carsola is scheduled for second reading in today's session. Thank you. Thank you. Last item under the committee report is the Committee on Transportation. You may now have the floor, Honorable Neil.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer, and good afternoon. Under the draft resolution number DR-177-22, with the title, "A Resolution Requesting all local government units in the province of Ilocos Sur for the strict compliance of the Department of Interior and Local Government Memorandum Circular number 2020-031 regarding the mandatory establishment of impounding areas in their area of responsibility and to adopt an ordinance prescribing clear guidelines on towing, impounding, and releasing of impounded vehicles to provide certain penalties as may be appropriated and necessary." For the findings, Mr. Chair, Section 16 of the Local Government Code provides police powers to local governments to regulate the use of roads, direct traffic, and remove obstructions. The IRT Memorandum Circular number 2019-121, dated July 29, 2019, enjoins local government officials to reclaim public roads and mandates the revocation of parking permits given to private to occupy public roads, alleys, and other thoroughfares. This policy on clearing of roads and obstructions is complemented with the issuance of the IRGMC number 2020-004, dated January 10, 2020, mandating LGUs to regulate the operation of tricycles and in granting of franchises, reiterating further specific provisions of RA 4136, the Land Transportation and Traffic Code, on prohibition of illegal parking of motor vehicles in sidewalks. To reinforce and sustain the government efforts in clearing roads of obstruction, the Department of Interior Local Government has directed all cities and municipalities to designate impounding areas for towed illegally parked vehicles. Through Memorandum Circular 2020-031, cities and towns are mandated to set up impounding areas for the safekeeping of illegally parked vehicles, as well as those involved in road accidents and breakdowns. Local sanggunians are also encouraged to pass ordinances specifying guidelines on towing, impounding, and releasing of impounded vehicles and prescribing corresponding penalties. with the government road clearing operation on illegally parked vehicles and road obstruction and the prohibition of tricycles in national highways, all local government units should have the necessary facilities to implement these directives, which includes tow trucks and impounding areas. In order to efficiently and effectively implement the existing traffic ordinances, rules, and regulation, and to be at pace with the continuing development of our province, there is also a need to prescribe clear guidelines on towing of illegally parked and stowed vehicles and impounding and releasing of such vehicles. Mr. Chair, the Committee on Transportation highly recommends for the adoption of the said committee report and for the subject resolution to be calendared on today's, for second reading on today's regular session.
There is a motion for the adoption of the committee report and the subject matter be calendared for second reading in today's session. Is there any second? Duly seconded, the committee report is hereby adopted and the said item is included for second reading in today's session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Moving on to the calendar of business, under the business of the day is the second reading. May we hear from Honorable Ronnie Rapanot for the Committee on Labor, Overseas and Local Employment and Civil Service.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presiding Officer. I have two items under the Committee on Labor. The first is draft ordinance number DO 069-82, an ordinance amending section 3 of ordinance number 16-10 series of 2016, otherwise known as an ordinance creating terminus position at the office of every regular Sambian Panlalawigan member in the province of Ilocos and providing funds thereof. Be it ordained by the 11th Sambian Panlalawigan of Ilocos on motion and duly seconded that Section 1, a mandatory provision, Section 3 of the Provincial Ordinance number 1610, series of 2016 shall be amended to read as follows. Section 3, qualification. The local legislative staff employed 2 must be a college graduate and civil service eligibility is not required pursuant to Civil Service Commission Memorandum Circular number 11 series of 1996, category 3. There is the repealing clause and separability clause. Section 4 is effectivity clause. Mr. Presiding Officer, if there is no clarification, objection on this measure, I move for the approval of this ordinance on second reading.
It is a motion for the approval of draft ordinance. Yes, Honorable Magkay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It's a clarification on the amended section. Because the title is an ordinance creating co-terminus position at the office of every regular Sangguniang Panlalawigan member. So, i-klaro lang no mawaling na singit the section 3. The local legislative staff employee is 2. A co-terminus position. If the author will allow to conform with the title ng co-terminus. Must be a college, blah, blah, blah. I'm familiar with the provision of Memorandum Circular number 11. So I'm proposing that we will insert the word co-terminus position after employee to and the word must. It is okay with the author, Mr. Chair.
Maybe as the main author.
Maybe hear from Honorable Mildred Elaido or
Mr. Chair, no objection.
okay, thank you, Honorable Elaido.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Magkay. So there's a motion for the approval of draft ordinance number DO-069-22 and DO-070-22, both authored by SPM Elaido and SPM Benito on second reading. Are there any second? Duly seconded. The two draft ordinances are now approved on their second reading. Madam Secretary, please take note that the two draft ordinances will be calendared for third and final reading next session.
For the record, Mr. Presiding Officer, may I just, because I only moved for approval the first ordinance, may I just for the record,
Ay, sorry.
yes, only the first.
Okay. So,
May I read the title of
Yes,
the
go
second
ahead.
ordinance? Because there's no, the amendment, the proposed amendment is the same, right? And of course with the insertion proposed by Honorable Magay, we will also adopt that insertion. With the words coterminous position. With that insertion, Mr. Presiding Officer, in Section 3, the qualification, may I move for the approval of ordinance amending Section 3 of the Provincial Ordinance Number 17-03, series of 2017, otherwise known as an ordinance creating coterminous position at the office of every ex officio sanguinian panlalawigan member in the province of Ilocos Sur and providing funds thereof. May I so move for the approval on second reading, Mr. Presiding Officer.
are there any second? Duly seconded, so the two draft ordinances are now approved on their second reading. Please take note that the two draft ordinances will be calendared for third and final reading next session. As signified earlier, the following additional items will be discussed under the second reading today, according to their orders. So 1, Committee on Finance and Appropriation, 2, Committee on Agriculture and Fisheries, and 3, Committee on Transportation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As earlier, I am requested for the second reading. Will you please allow me to read this title to approve the second reading of previous committee report? An ordinance authorizing supplemental budget number 04 of the province of Ilocos Sur for fiscal year 2022, embodying total appropriations amounting to 112,826,830 pesos and 35 centavos to sustain various programs, projects, and activities for the budget year of the province. I'm moving this for the second reading, Mr. Chair.
There is a motion to the approval of the supplemental budget number 4 of the province of Ilocos Sur for second reading, and the same be calendared for third and final reading in today's session. Are there any second? Yes, Honorable Baterina.
From a perusal of the proposed appropriation ordinance owner, I observed that most provincial government offices were given budgets, but there's no budget for the Sangguniang Panlalawigan members.
Yeah.
I just want to know if could we have applied for an additional budget from the supplemental funds?
These are reversions. These are not.
Diversion was for supplemental budget.
Yeah, reversions. These are reversions. There are no official, no additional budgets. Nakita yung mo susar, so revert na din dapat mga sa
Just to be clear, ang dami pondo ni Sangguniang pala.
Akala ko supplemental budget.
No. These are reversions.
Sigurado tayo may nanimukan.
I so move, Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
there's a motion for approval of the supplemental budget number 4 of the province of Ilocos Sur for second reading and the same to be calendared for third and final reading in today's session. Under any second? Duly seconded, the supplemental budget number 4 of the province of Ilocos Sur is approved on its second reading and the same is calendared for third and final reading in today's session. Please continue, Honorable Rafanan.
For the second reading, Mr. Chair, a resolution requesting appeal to the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation to include fish shelter or payaw under fishery insurance. I so move, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion for the approval of the letter of Edmar Carsola regarding the inclusion of fish shelter or payaw for fishery insurance to be covered by Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation. Is there any second? Duly seconded. I hear no objection. So the letter of Mr. Edmar Carsola regarding the inclusion of fish shelter or payaw for fishery insurance to be covered by the Philippine Crop Insurance Corporation is hereby approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next is the Committee on Transportation. May we hear from Honorable Mildred Elayo.
Thank you once again, Mr. Presiding Officer. A resolution requesting all local government units in the province of Ilocos Sur for the strict compliance of the DILG Memorandum Circular number 2023-031 regarding the mandatory establishment of impounding areas in their area of responsibility and to adopt an ordinance prescribing clear guidelines on towing, impounding, and releasing of impounded vehicles to provide certain penalties as may be appropriated and necessary. May I so move for the approval on its second reading and third reading respectively, Mr. Chair.
There's a motion for the approval of the resolution on the strict compliance of the DILG regarding mandatory impounding area. Is there any second? Duly seconded. I hear no objection. The resolution on the strict compliance of the DILG regarding mandatory impounding area is hereby approved.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the review matters for the 29 items under the Committee on People and Civil Society Organization. May we hear from Honorable Ronnie Rafael.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presiding Officer. I have 29 items. The first is the letter of Silnag Ti Pagtaengan, President, Baugen Balitbid Farmers Association Incorporated, applying for accreditation to the provincial government of Ilocos Sur. Second organization is Maligkong Farmers Association through Jerry Ruiz, President. The third is the Madaran Farmers Association through Robin W. Marcelo. The fourth is Baluarte Farmers Association through President Enrique C. Boki. Number 5, the Naratan Farmers Association through President Rogelio Gamueda. Number 6, Namnama Farmers Association through its President Bobby S. Budayaw.
Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells swing and jingle bells ring. Snowing and blowing bushels of fun. Now the jingle hop has begun. Jingle bell, jingle bell rock. Jingle bells chiming, jingle bell time. Dancing and prancing in Jingle Bell Square. In the frosty air.
Kaya't mo kanayon na nakakondisyon ti motor mo, saan tayo abaybayan ngagdadael? Siguden na patarimaan, tadda tinalaing ken anos a mekaniko, ken pagagatangan ti high-end ken genuine a piyesa ti motorsiklo. King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises. Anya man na piyesa ken brand ti motorsiklo a kasapulan at daamin dita King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises. Saan kan ngagpaspasarap, mapankan di sigurado. Adupay di pagpilyan tinadumaduma a brand affiliate, motor oil ken kumpleto a pang setup. Pasyaren ti Pestuda sa Jikabarwan, Santa Catalina, Ilocos Sur. At dabay branch na dita igid ti National Highway, Sunto, Bantay, Ilocos Sur. Ken Sadyay, Dagupan City. Ride safety. Siguradwen anapintas ti kondisyon dagiti motorsiklo. Adda ti mapagtalkaan a King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises. Ken no kasapulan pilogan na pagpasya ken adday ti darayan nyo nga okasyon. Kastapay no dasabaten nyo akaming ti pamilyayo a balikbayan adda anday ti ban amarentaan. Kontakin nyo ti numero 0917-188-7507. Upwa ken imatmatonan da Bonnie ken Lynn Rabe. King Rabe Motorcycle Parts Enterprises.
Number 7, Soryuan Farmers Association through its President, Regimar B. Gading. Number 8, Himasaka Farmers Irrigators Association Incorporated through its President Edmond S. Kimoyo. Number 9, the Federated Farmers Association of Salcedo Ilocos Incorporated through the President Rogelio Gamueda. Number 10, Kinmarin Farmers Association through its President Richard Bugarin. Number 11, Bulala Farmers Association through its President Edlan L. Batin. Number 12, the San Tiburcio Farmers Association through its President Joseph Batori. Number 13, the Ranay Farmers Association through its President Ademar C. Dagsi. Number 14, the Royal Maharlika Wellness and Training Center Incorporated through its Vice President Ruben Marsan. Perhaps the President here is 15, Atabay Farmers Association through its President Bonifacio C. Guten. Number 16, Bayading Farmers Association through its President Nestor Garnacha. Number 17, Masilag Farmers Association through its President Muli E. Balbin. Number 18, the Pias Farmers Association through its President Rogelio T. Biteng. Number 19, Ogbog Farmers Association through its President Ridel B. Gapate. Number 20, the Sinabayan Farmers Association of San Tiburcio Ilocos Incorporated through its President Teresa C. Quesada. 21, Culyong Farmers Association through its President Jesus S. Pascua. Number 22, Lukbuban Farmers Association through its President Rodolfo A. Mangante. 23, Kinpo Farmers Association through its President Franklin Hubungan. Number 24, the Farmers Association of Bogibog Salcedo Incorporated through Gregorio B. Alabag Jr. President. 25, Gonglo, Dagitimanalon, Ti Poblacion Norte, Salcedo Ilocos Incorporated through its President Laverne L. Doro. Number 26, the Poblacion Sur Farmers Association through its President Eric G. Salazar. 27, the Robic Farmers Association through its President Priscilla R. Espiritu. Number 28, Nagpindangan Farmers Association through its President Rogelio B. Rubang. 29, the Pantaycom Farmers Irrigators Association Incorporated through its President Roger G. Anaban. All the 29 organizations, Mr. Presiding Officer, applied for accreditation to the respective presidents except the Royal Maharlika Wellness and Training Center Incorporated because it was applied to its Vice President. I have a... You should check the nature of the association. Maybe know from anyone who is the president?
I think he's incoming as exfoliate.
In the person of... Who is that?
Honorable Rapanot, may you also check because there is one Rogelio Gamueta being president of two farmers association. one in Salcedo, and one in Binaratan, Farmers Association. Federated President Mesa, Di Mesa. Okay.
So, just like
So,
Di Marlica, just like Di Marlica.
Di Marlica, explain nyo na.
Yes, because I was wondering why it was the Vice President who applied for recognition. But accordingly, the President is the incoming ASEC of BILG in the person of our colleague Efren Rapanan. That's why.
Wow.
Anyway, at least we know that this organization is somewhat related to our colleague here, which is of course very most welcome. Okay. So the findings. The corresponding applications for accreditation of the above-mentioned associations had been thoroughly reviewed by the committee and found that they duly complied with the requirements of law for accreditation that are seeking for financial assistance from the provincial government of Ilocos Sur. The above-stated associations have been active partners for socio-economic development and progress of the provincial government of Ilocos Sur and are known to be barangay-based associations that are seeking for financial assistance from the provincial government of Ilocos Sur. The recommendation of the Committee on People and Civil Society Organizations hereby recommends for the adoption of this committee report. Further, the committee moves for the granting and approval of the accreditation of the above stated associations as civil society organizations of the provincial government of Ilocos Sur. May I recommend for adoption and move for approval, Mr. Presiding Officer.
There is a motion for the adoption of the committee report and subsequent approval of the 29 measures under review of the Committee on People and Civil Society Organization. Are there any second? Duly seconded. I hear no objections. The committee report is hereby adopted and the 29 measures are now duly approved.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer. I continue with the Committee on Labor. First is Municipal Ordinance number 431, Series of 2022, of Cervantes Ilocos Sur, creating and institutionalizing Municipal Tourism Office of Cervantes Ilocos Sur, designating officer in charge and allocating funds for its different programs, projects, and activities. And number 2 is Municipal Ordinance number 432 of Cervantes Ilocos Sur, creating and institutionalizing the Public Employment Service Office of Cervantes Ilocos Sur, designating officer in charge and allocating funds for its different programs, projects, and activities. Findings pursuant to Section 76 of the Public Act number 7160, otherwise known as the Local Government Code 1991, the Civil Service Commission shall prescribe minimum standards and guidelines in the design and implementation of organizational structures and staffing patterns in local government units. It provides as follows. Every local government unit shall design and implement its own organizational structure and staffing pattern, taking into consideration its service requirements and financial capability, subject to the minimum standards and guidelines prescribed by the Civil Service Commission. It is therefore the responsibility of every local government unit to design, approve, and implement the organizational structure and staffing pattern in accordance with the guidelines and standards provided for by law and its implementing rules and regulations. The Committee on Labor, Overseas and Local Government and Civil Service respectfully recommends for the adoption of this committee report and further moves for the approval of the two above stated legislative measures of Cervantes Ilocos Sur. May I so move for the adoption and approval of the two ordinances, Mr. Presiding Officer.
There's a motion for the approval of the two ordinances. The second? Julie seconded. I hear no objection. The two ordinances is hereby approved.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer.
The next 10 items under the Committee on Finance and Appropriations. You may continue, Honorable Rafael.
Thank you, Mr. Presiding Officer, and again, thank you for the privilege of reading your report as Chair of the Committee on Finance. Supplemental Budget number 5, San Vicente, for fiscal year 2022, involving appropriation amounting to 1,547,356 pesos and 75 centavos. Supplemental Budget number 03, San Emilio, with an amount involving 1,314,043 pesos. Number 3, Supplemental Budget number 04 of Narbacan, involving the amount of 21,325,053.15 pesos. Number 4, Supplemental Budget number 8 of Santa for fiscal year 2022, involving the amount of 100,000 pesos. Number 5, Ordinance number 1035 of Bandon City, Ilocos, appropriating the city share of the amount of 74,589,976 from RA 7171 city share. Number 6, Appropriation Ordinance number 2022-006 of Sopun, involving the amount of 69,274,028.50 centavos from RA 7171 municipal share. Number 7, Appropriation Ordinance number 05 S 2022 Gregorio del Pilar, involving the amount of 80,088,727 from RA 7171 municipal share. Number 8, Appropriation Ordinance number 06 S series of 2022 del Pilar, involving the amount of 100,111,674 from RA 7171 municipal share. And number 9, Appropriation Ordinance number 449, Series 2020 of Santa Ilocos, involving the amount of 9,134,267 from RA 7171 municipal share. And the last is the resolution number 82A-2020 of Galimuyon, authorizing the annual investment program of the municipality for fiscal year 2023. Findings, as for review, the above-mentioned measures are within the powers of the local government units, and the programs are crafted in consonance with the following: 1. RA 760 for the General Welfare LGU. Number 2, Memo Circular number 61-A. And number 3, the proper budgeting procedures mandated by the DBM. Thus, it satisfies the technicalities of legislative measures. Recommendation: the Committee on Finance and Appropriations hereby recommends for the adoption of this committee report and further recommends for the subsequent approval of the legislative measures as reviewed above. I therefore vote, Mr. Chair.
Relax. There's a motion for the adoption of committee report and subsequent approval of the 10 items under review of the committee. Are there any second? Duly seconded. I hear no objection. The committee report is hereby adopted, and the 10 subject measures are now duly approved. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you. Moving on to the measures on third reading, we have here the Committee on Labor, Overseas and Local Employment. Honorable Ronnie Rapanot.
Thank you very much, Mr. Presiding Officer. I have one item here under the Committee on Labor. This is ordinance creating various managerial positions at the different offices in provincial government of Ilocos. May I move for approval on its third and final reading, Mr. Presiding Officer.
Any second? Second. Duly seconded. I hear no objection. The subject ordinance is now duly approved on its third and final reading.
Thank you.
Again, as signified earlier, an item under Committee on Finance and Appropriation is calendared for third and final reading. Honorable Rafanan, you may now have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the third and final reading, an ordinance authorizing supplemental budget number 04 of the province of Ecuador for fiscal year 2022 embodying total appropriations amounting to 112,826,830 pesos and 35 centavos to sustain various programs, projects, and activities for the budget of the province. I move for the approval of these submissions.
There's a motion for the approval of supplemental budget number 4 of the province of Ilocos Sur on its third and final reading. Are there any second? Duly seconded. I hear no objection. The supplemental budget number 4 of the province of Ilocos Sur is now duly approved on its third and final reading.
And finally, for the third reading, a resolution requesting appeal to the crop insurance to include fish shelter or payaw under fishery insurance. I move it for its approval, Mr. President.
Any second? Duly seconded. I hear no objection. It is now approved on third and final